A small, forgotten town sat quietly beneath a sky weighed down by thick grey clouds. The streets were deserted, the only signs of life being a few rusted cars and flickering streetlights. A soft wind stirred the trees, carrying a faint murmur that seemed to come from the old mansion on the hill, the Shallow Ford. For as long as anyone could remember, its name had been whispered in hushed tones. The locals all knew its dark history, stories of missing people, strange sounds at midnight, and the unspoken rule that no one dared set foot inside for years. The town seemed to hold its breath whenever the Shallow Ford was mentioned, but there was one person who couldn't let it go, the one who had to know for himself. Claude, a 19-year-old outsider, felt an irresistible pull toward the mansion. He'd heard the rumors, but something inside him longed to confront the darkness, to find out if the stories were real. Tonight he would walk through its doors. The diner hummed with the soft clink of silverware and low conversations. Claude sat at the far end of the counter, nursing his cup of coffee, when the topic shifted to the Shallow Ford. A group of teenagers sat nearby, their laughter filling the air, but when the mansion came up, something in their tone changed. It became darker. They started talking about the dare, the one no one ever took on. They challenged each other to enter the mansion, to spend the night in the place that had terrified everyone else in town. Claude's name was mentioned as a joke, but a spark lit up in his chest. He stood up, a quiet resolve in his eyes.
I'll do it. I'll spend the night there.
I'll do it. I'll spend the night there. The table fell silent. They stared at him, unsure if he was serious. Claude's grin only grew wider. I'll be back by sunrise. You'll see. Midnight. The town had long settled into an uneasy silence. Claude stood at the rusted gates of the Shallow Ford, the mansion looming in the distance like a dark shadow against the black sky. The wind howled, carrying with it the damp scent of earth and something else. Something ancient. He pushed the gates open with a groan, feeling an uncomfortable chill creep up his spine. The air beyond the gates was still, thick with an unsettling sense of anticipation. As he moved closer to the mansion, his flashlight swept over the crumbling exterior. The windows were dark, like empty eyes staring back at him. The house seemed alive, exhaling a forgotten history. With a steadying breath, Claude reached for the front door and pushed it open. It creaked loudly, the sound echoing through the hollow emptiness inside. The mansion was thick with silence, almost suffocating. Dust hung heavy in the air, disturbed only by the soft echo of Claude's footsteps. His flashlight sliced through the darkness, revealing long-forgotten portraits, faded, cracked, and staring at him with lifeless eyes. The wallpaper, yellowed and peeling, seemed to whisper of a time long gone. The musty scent of mildew filled the air, mingling with something else, something foul, something old. With every step Claude took, the floorboards creaked in protest, as if the house itself was aware of him, responding to his presence. He moved slowly down the long hallway, feeling the mansion close in around him. Then, without warning, a loud crash echoed from above. Claude froze, his heart leaping into his throat. He glanced up, his flashlight shaking in his hand. The sound had come from the floor above. With a deep breath, Claude climbed the grand staircase, each step adding to the tension that crawled up his spine. As he reached the top, the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. The air was colder here, and the oppressive silence of the house seemed heavier. Then, out of nowhere, a soft whisper echoed in the dark. It was faint at first, but then it grew clearer.
Leave while you still can.
Leave, while you still can. The voice was raspy, filled with pain and regret. Claude whipped around, his flashlight casting long shadows, but the hall was empty. The temperature dropped, a cold gust of wind slamming the door shut behind him. Claude pressed on, ignoring the whisper, his feet taking him down a narrow hallway at the far end of the floor. He stopped in front of a door that creaked open at the slightest touch. Inside was a room that seemed to pulse with an eerie energy. The walls were lined with mirrors, their surfaces cracked and shattered. As Claude stepped inside, the reflection staring back at him seemed wrong. His face was twisted, fear and confusion written across it, but behind him something moved. Claude spun around, but there was nothing. His reflection lingered, only it wasn't quite the same. It shifted slightly, always a beat ahead, as though mocking him. Claude moved deeper into the house, trying to shake off the feeling of being watched. In a large, forgotten parlor, he came upon a grand portrait. The woman in the painting had a soft, regal beauty, but her eyes were cold, piercing, unblinking. She seemed to watch Claude, her gaze following his every movement. As he stepped closer to the painting, he felt a cold shiver crawl down his spine. Who was she? And why did her eyes seem to glow with a dark, unspoken secret? As Claude moved away from the portrait, a chilling sound broke the silence, the soft, deliberate sound of footsteps. They were slow at first, echoing faintly behind him. His heart began to race. He turned quickly, expecting to see someone standing there, but the hallway was empty. The footsteps continued, though, closer, louder. Each step was a mirror of his own, but when he turned again, there was no one there. The house seemed to be alive, playing games with his mind. At the end of a long corridor, Claude found a door that stood slightly ajar. The wooden frame was old, the paint chipped and worn. He reached for the handle, but it was cold, unnaturally cold. He twisted it, but the door didn't budge. He pulled harder, but still it wouldn't open. There was something strange about it. Something was holding the door closed, something ancient. The door seemed to pulse with an energy he couldn't understand, as though it were alive, refusing to let him in. But there was something behind that door. He could feel it. Claude forced the door open with all his strength, the sound of the hinges screaming in protest. Inside was a small, dusty room, its walls covered in strange symbols. Some of them were etched deep into the stone, while others seemed to be drawn hastily in dark, dried blood. In the center of the room, a large book lay open on a pedestal, and the pages yellowed with age. Claude approached it slowly, but before he could touch it, his eyes were drawn to the wall. There, scrawled hastily in the same dark substance, were words, "It's too late. The curse has already begun." Claude's stomach churned as a deep, gnawing sense of dread filled him. The mansion was no longer a mere haunted house, it was something darker, something ancient. And Claude had just opened the door to whatever horrors lay behind it. As Claude stands motionless in the room, staring at the ominous message on the wall, the candlelight flickers. He turns to see a single candle burning on a table in the corner. It's out of place, its flame steady, though the room is cold and untouched. The soft, flickering glow casts long shadows across the floor, giving the room a spectral quality. He steps closer, while the air thick with dread. His fingers brush against the candle, and in an instant the flame flickers out, plunging the room into darkness. Claude gasps, and for the briefest moment he thinks he hears a whisper, low and guttural, coming from the shadows. With the candle snuffed out, the temperature drops even further, biting into Claude's skin. He shivers and fumbles to relight the candle, but before he can, a gust of wind slams into the room, rattling the windows. It howls through the mansion, so loud it almost drowns out all other sounds. The walls creak, the house groans as though it's alive, and the wind carries a strange wailing sound that seems to echo with pain. Claude covers his ears, but the wail pierces through, rising in pitch, as though it's coming from deep within the bowels of the house. It's the sound of something trapped, something calling out for help. Claude stumbles back into the hallway, heart pounding in his chest. His flashlight shakes as he tries to regain his bearings. The hallway stretches long before him, and in the distance, he sees it. Another mirror. Unlike the cracked ones he's seen before, this one is pristine, perfectly framed, its glass untouched by time. As he approaches, the reflection in the mirror catches his eye. It's him, but not quite. His own image appears distorted, twisted into something unnatural. His face is pale, his eyes hollow. A dark figure stands just behind him, shadowy and indistinct, but unmistakable. Claude spins around, but there's no one there. When he looks back at the mirror, the figure is gone. He continues down the hall, his mind racing. And the footsteps are back, but this time they are heavier, more deliberate. The sound is unmistakable. Someone or something is following him. Claude quickens his pace, but the footsteps match every step. He stops suddenly, his heart in his throat, and listens. Silence. He turns. No one. But the air around him feels thick, charged with tension, like the house itself is watching him, waiting for him to make the next move. At the end of the hallway, Claude finds a large set of double doors. He pushes them open, and inside is a room that feels almost out of place in the dilapidated mansion. A library. Shelves line the walls, filled with dusty old books, their leather spines cracked and weathered. The air smells of mildew and forgotten knowledge. Claude steps inside, drawn to one shelf in particular, where a book seems to stand out. The cover is a deep red, its edges gilded in gold. He reaches for it, but as soon as his fingers touch the spine, the room goes cold. The walls seem to groan, and the lights flicker once more. He opens the book, and as he does, a gust of wind slams the door shut behind him, trapping him inside. The pages of the book are filled with strange symbols, their meaning lost to time. As Claude flips through, a sudden voice erupts from the pages, low and rasping.
You've come too far.
You've come too far. The words seem to swirl around him, the voice coming from all directions, not just the book. It's like the house itself is speaking to him. A cold dread settles in his chest. The voice continues.
You've awakened what should remain buried. Now you must face it.
You've awakened what should remain buried. Now you must face it. Claude slams the book shut, the voice silenced. But something has changed. The atmosphere in the room is thicker, heavier. His breath comes in shallow gasps as he looks around, trying to regain his composure. That's when he notices it. Another door, tucked away in the corner of the library. It's old, its wood dark with age and locked tight. Something inside tells him that whatever lies behind that door is connected to the mansion's twisted past. His fingers tremble as he searches for a key, but there's no keyhole, only a smooth surface that hides something far deeper. Suddenly, a movement in the corner of his vision catches his eye. Claude spins around, flashlight in hand. In the farthest corner of the room, a shadow stands, dark, formless, and creeping. His heart skips a beat as he steps forward, the shadow moving with him, always staying just out of reach. No matter how fast he moves, it's always there, creeping along the walls, matching his every step. And then the shadow stops. It's no longer moving, it's waiting. Claude backs away slowly, the hairs on his neck rising. The silence is deafening now. The wind has stopped. The footsteps are gone. The shadow, too, has disappeared. But then he hears it again, the same whisper from before.
Leave before it's too late.
Leave before it's too late. Claude spins, but there's no one there. The voice isn't coming from a person, it's coming from everywhere. The walls, the floor, the air around him. It's as if the mansion itself is alive, speaking through the very foundation of the house. The door to the library bursts open on its own. Claude is forced back into the hallway, disoriented and shaken. But when he looks toward the hallway mirror again, he sees it, the woman from the portrait. She's no longer trapped behind glass. She's standing there, staring at him, her eyes wide with unspoken fear. Her lips move, but no sound comes out. Slowly, she reaches toward him, her hand passing through the glass like it isn't even there. Claude can't move. He's motionless in place, his heart hammering in his chest. The air is thick with her presence, and he can feel her cold touch, even before she makes contact. Claude stumbles backward from the mirror, his heart pounding in his chest. His mind races as he tries to make sense of what's happening. But before he can gather his thoughts, the walls around him begin to shift. Slowly at first, as though the house itself is breathing. The floor beneath his feet creaks, and the hallway stretches longer, narrower, as though the space is twisting. He tries to move, but the walls seem to close in, pushing him forward. The air grows heavier, thick with an oppressive energy. Every step Claude takes feels like he's being drawn into the very heart of the mansion, into something much darker than he ever imagined. As the walls continue to shift, Claude finds himself in front of the locked door again. This time it's different. The wood no longer feels solid. There's an energy pulsing beneath his fingers, as if the door is waiting for him to open it. Without thinking, his hand reaches out to the handle. It turns easily, as if the door had been waiting for him all along. Inside, the room is dark, its air thick and stale. As Claude steps in, he feels a cold dampness surround him. The room is bare except for a single object, an old, tarnished mirror. The frame is intricately carved with symbols that match those in the book he found earlier. He steps closer, his reflection staring back at him with an intensity he's never seen before. But this time, it's not just him in the reflection. There's someone standing beside him, someone he recognizes. The reflection shifts, and the woman from the portrait appears beside him in the mirror, her eyes now glowing with an unnatural light. She's no longer just an image trapped in glass. She's here, with him. Claude steps back in horror, but she doesn't move. She simply stares, her gaze full of sorrow, but also something far darker, something that feels like anger. As he watches, the reflection of the woman begins to speak, her lips moving without sound. Claude can't hear her, but somehow he understands.
You shouldn't have come. You've woken him.
You shouldn't have come. You've woken him. Suddenly, the mirror cracks, the sound sharp and deafening. Claude's heart stops as the glass begins to shimmer and something begins to stir on the other side. Before he can react, the mirror shatters completely, sending shards of glass flying into the air. As the pieces fall to the floor, the cold air grows even more intense. Claude reaches out instinctively to steady himself against the nearby wall, but instead he feels something touch him. A cold hand, ice cold, clings to his wrist. Claude jerks away, but the touch doesn't release. The grip tightens, pulling him forward. He stumbles into the darkened room, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The temperature drops so low that his breath becomes visible in the air. A voice, soft and chilling, fills the room.
Stay with me forever.
Stay with me. Forever. But when he looks around, the room is no longer the same. The walls are gone. The room is now a long, narrow hallway lined with endless doors. All of them are closed. The air vibrates with whispers, soft voices murmuring from behind each door. The whispers overlap, becoming louder, more insistent. Claude's pulse races. He can't tell where the voices are coming from, but they're everywhere. Some are pleading, others are angry, and some are calling his name. He moves down the hallway, opening each door in turn, but inside is always the same. A pitch-black void. Claude stops in front of one door, the whispers growing louder. He hesitates, the cold sweat beading on his forehead. As his hand touches the handle, it turns easily. The door creaks open, revealing a room bathed in an eerie blue light. The light pulses in time with his heartbeat. Inside, a figure stands. It's a man, tall and gaunt, his face obscured by shadows. He turns slowly to face Claude. The man's eyes are dark, empty. His lips curl into a slow, unsettling smile.
You're finally here. I've been waiting.
You're finally here, the man says, his voice hollow and distant. I've been waiting. Claude steps back, his heart pounding. The man's eyes lock onto his, piercing through him with an unnatural intensity. There's something ancient about him, as if he's been waiting here for centuries. The man's smile fades, and his face grows serious.
You don't belong here. But now that you've crossed the threshold, you've awakened something far worse than you can imagine.
You don't belong here. But now that you've crossed the threshold, you've awakened something far worse than you can imagine. Claude opens his mouth to speak, but the words die on his lips. The man steps closer, and with each step, the room seems to grow colder, darker.
You must leave now, before he comes.
You must leave now, the man whispers, his voice barely audible. Before he comes. Before Claude can ask who he is, the man vanishes into the shadows. The door slams shut behind him, cutting off the only possible escape. The walls close in again, the hallway stretching further into the darkness. The whispers grow louder, more frantic, as if the mansion itself is alive, urging him to go deeper. Claude's mind races. He has no choice but to move forward. He opens another door, this time to find a room full of old portraits, all faces staring down at him. Each one seems to grow more twisted, more angry as he walks by. There's something in the air, something malevolent, something that's watching him. At the far end of the room, a large dust-covered book sits on a pedestal. Claude approaches it, knowing that this is the key to understanding what's happening in the shallow ford. He opens the book, and the pages are filled with more symbols, more warnings. He stops on a page near the end. There, scrawled in dark ink, is a curse. The bloodline must be returned. The curse will remain until the one who awoke it falls to their knees in surrender. As he reads the words, a voice fills his head, chilling and unrelenting.
You've awakened him, and now there is no escape.
You've awakened him, and now there is no escape. Suddenly, the ground trembles beneath his feet. The house begins to shake, the walls cracking as if the mansion is coming alive. The doors slam shut, one after another. Claude runs down the hallway, but the rooms have changed. They no longer resemble anything familiar. They are dark, twisted, and endless, are filled with shifting shadows and faces he can't quite make out. The mansion is alive. It's no longer just a haunted house. It's a prison, and he's its prisoner. Claude's breath comes in short, frantic gasps as he races through the hallway. The house shakes again, louder this time, as if it's trying to force him into submission. The walls seem to shift and bend with every step, and the strange faces from the portraits follow him, their eyes tracking his every movement. As he turns a corner, he catches sight of something in the corner of his eye. A face, not from the portraits, but embedded in the walls themselves. It's watching him, its eyes wide with terror. Then another face appears beside it. And another. The walls are alive, alive with the souls of the mansion's past. The eyes blink, mouths whispering words he can't hear, but somehow he understands them. Leave now, before it's too late, they seem to say. Claude stumbles backward, shaking his head in disbelief. The faces in the walls are too much. He can't understand how any of this is real. But as he steps back, his foot catches on something. An old book, its pages yellowed and fragile. It slides from a shelf in the library, revealing a hidden passage behind it. His heart races. This is it. The way out. But before he can make a move, he hears something from behind. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, slow. He turns, but no one is there. He hesitates, feeling the weight of the house press down on him. The passage calls to him. He has to go. Claude rushes into the passage, the narrow walls closing in around him as he descends deeper into the mansion. The air grows thick with dust, and the light from his flashlight barely reaches the end of the tunnel. The further he goes, the colder it becomes. He pulls his jacket tighter around him, but the cold seeps into his bones. Suddenly, there's a low growl, a deep rumbling sound that vibrates through the walls. Claude freezes, his heart thunders in his chest, and his breath catches. The growl grows louder, closer. Something is following him, something large, something hungry. Claude emerges from the passage into a vast, hollow room. It's unlike anything he's seen in the mansion. The walls are bare, stripped of all decoration, and in the center of the room lies an altar, carved from stone. There's a strange symbol etched into its surface, something that looks like a sigil, a mark of power. The air in the room is suffocating, heavy with an ancient presence. Claude steps forward cautiously, his eyes darting around the room. The growling is louder now, echoing off the walls. And then, from the shadows, something moves. A creature, its eyes glow like molten gold, and its breath is thick and heavy. It's huge, too huge for the room. And it's looking directly at Claude. The creature growls again, louder this time, and Claude can feel the ground shake beneath him. His instincts scream at him to run, but his body won't move. He stood still, staring into the eyes of something that shouldn't exist. But then the creature stops. Its eyes soften, and for a moment, Claude could swear it's waiting. He feels something deep within him stir, a sensation, a pull. The creature knows him, the curse knows him, the mansion knows him. Claude suddenly realizes the horrifying truth. He wasn't meant to leave. He was meant to awaken this creature, this curse. The creature takes a step forward, its massive form looming over Claude. And in that moment it speaks.
You called me. You freed me. Now you will serve me.
You called me. You freed me. Now you will serve me. Before the creature can strike, a rush of wind fills the room. The growl becomes a roar as the air thickens with energy. Claude stumbles backward, his heart racing. The temperature drops even further, and he feels a coldness that seeps into his very soul. But then there's something else, a presence, something unseen, something just out of his reach. He can't see it, but he can feel it. Its eyes on him, its voice whispering in his mind. The mansion isn't just alive with the curse, it's alive with something else, something that has been watching him all along. "You've made a mistake," the voice whispers. "This is only the beginning." The creature roars again, and Claude turns, trying to find an escape. But the room is changing. The walls twist and shift, the floor beneath him buckles. The mansion is no longer the house he entered. It has become a maze, a labyrinth that shifts with every step. Claude races through the hallways, his mind spinning. He's trapped. The mansion is alive, and it's playing with him, guiding him deeper into its web. Every turn leads to another dead end. Every door leads to another room that he doesn't recognize, and always the growling follows him. He knows it's getting closer. Suddenly, Claude stops. He's back in the grand hall, the same place he started. But something's different now. The portraits are gone, replaced with one large, broken frame. The glass is shattered, and the image within is a blur of color and darkness. He approaches it cautiously, his heart racing. The face in the shattered portrait is not his, but it's familiar. It's the woman from the painting. But now her eyes are filled with rage, her lips curl into a smile that is not kind, but cruel.
You should have left. Now you are one of us.
"You should have left," the woman whispers, her voice echoing through the hall. "Now, you are one of us." Claude turns, but the hallway stretches longer now, far longer than before. A path leads to an open door. His feet move on their own, as if the mansion itself is pulling him toward the door. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to see what lies beyond. But something inside him compels him forward. The door creaks open, revealing a room bathed in shadow, and at the center of the room, lying on the floor, is a body. A body he recognizes. The body is his own. Claude stumbles back, his mind reeling. He touches his face, feeling the sweat on his brow, the panic rising in his chest. He looks at the body again. It's him. The same eyes, the same features, the same fear. The door slams shut behind him. He's trapped. The mansion has claimed him. The curse has taken him. And in that moment, he realizes the truth. He wasn't meant to survive. He was always meant to be part of the shallow ford. Claude's breath hitches as he steps back, away from his own lifeless body. The room is suffocating now, the walls closing in with a heaviness that presses on his chest. He spins in circles, searching for a way out, but there is none. The mansion has him, the curse has him. Suddenly, from the corners of the room, the shadows begin to move. They're not just dark patches, they are alive. They shift and twist, curling into the shape of something humanoid, something sinister. They move toward him, slow and deliberate, their forms stretching unnaturally tall and thin. They whisper his name. "Claude, Claude, come home."
Claude, Claude, come home.
In his panic, Claude stumbles into another room. This one is eerily pristine, as though it hasn't been touched by time. The walls are lined with mirrors. Too many mirrors. He stares into one, and the reflection is not his own. It's the woman from the portrait, her face twisted in anguish, her eyes pleading. Then the reflection shifts. It's not just her now. There are figures standing behind her, shadows that grow larger, stretching across the glass until they engulf everything. The glass ripples, and the faces behind it scream silently, reaching out toward him. Claude can't look away. In that reflection, he sees what he's become. He's not just trapped in the house, he's becoming part of it. Claude forces himself to tear his eyes away from the mirror. He runs down another hallway, but now the walls are different. The portraits, those twisted faces, are gone, replaced with faded photographs. The people in them are unrecognizable, their faces blurred, their expressions cold. But as he passes each one, the eyes in the photos seem to follow him, narrowing with every step he takes. A low guttural sound rumbles from the end of the hall. It's a groan, like the house is in pain. The doors on either side of him burst open, revealing empty rooms filled with dust and decay. But in the corners, there's something darker, and something moving. Claude tries to run, but the walls seem to close in. The hallway stretches endlessly, looping back on itself. He's trapped again. A cold, clammy hand brushes against his arm. Claude spins, but no one is there. Another touch. This time, it's on his neck. He whips around, heart hammering, but again there's no one in sight. The cold is unbearable now. His fingers tremble as he clutches his jacket, trying to keep himself warm. The temperature in the hallway drops to an impossible low, and his breath comes out in visible puffs of mist. The feeling of hands on his body grows stronger. They are everywhere, gripping his arms, his legs, his neck. Each touch is colder than the last. The hands tug him in every direction. They pull him toward the shadows at the end of the hall, but every time he pulls away, they tighten their grip. Claude stumbles into a grand, cavernous room. The floor is marble, but cracked and uneven. At the center of the room is a massive ancient hearth, a fire still burning despite the overwhelming cold in the house. The flames twist in strange patterns, casting long shadows that stretch across the room. There's a feeling in the air here, a heaviness, a presence. The walls seem to pulse with life. The fire flickers, and Claude swears he sees shapes moving in it, shadows twisting, faces forming, and then vanishing into the flames. He steps closer, drawn to the heat, to the mystery. The shadows in the corners of the room begin to grow, creeping up the walls, gathering at the edges of the hearth. A voice, low and insistent, calls out from within the flames.
You've come too far. Now you must pay.
You've come too far. Now you must pay. Claude spins around, his eyes wide, heart racing. The woman from the portrait appears before him, standing tall in the center of the room. Her eyes glow with an otherworldly light, and her expression is no longer one of sadness. It's pure, unfiltered rage.
You woke me. You woke him. And now you will never leave.
You woke me, she says, her voice like ice. You woke him. And now you will never leave. Her hands lift, and the shadows in the room surge toward her. They wrap around her, twisting and shifting until they take shape, an enormous figure that towers over Claude. It's the creature from earlier, its molten gold eyes burning into his soul. It steps forward, and the ground shakes beneath its feet.
You cannot escape what you have awakened. The house will take you, just as it took all of them.
You cannot escape what you have awakened, it growls. The house will take you, just as it took all of them. The room grows darker. The shadows from the hearth stretch, curling toward Claude's feet, pulling him toward the fire. His heart pounds in his chest as the woman and the creature draw closer. There's no escape, no way out. He's surrounded. But then, just as all seems lost, something shifts in him. A spark of defiance, of anger, ignites in Claude's chest. He clenches his fists, his nails digging into his palms as he takes a step forward.
No, I won't be part of this. I won't let you win.
No, he whispers, his voice shaky but resolute. I won't be part of this. I won't let you win. The mansion shakes as though it's responding to his defiance. The fire in the hearth flickers, and for the first time the shadows seem to recoil. The creature roars, a sound that shakes the very foundation of the mansion. Claude stumbles back, his heart racing as the beast lunges toward him, its massive jaws snapping. Oh, but before it can reach him, a burst of light erupts from the hearth, blinding him. The mansion screams in protest as the light surges forward, banishing the shadows, forcing the creature to retreat. The woman in the portrait fades, her curse unraveling before Claude's eyes. Claude falls to his knees, gasping for breath. The mansion is still, the air is no longer heavy. The darkness that had consumed him lifts. But something tells him that this isn't over. The creature disappears. Claude pushes himself to his feet, trembling but determined. He turns, ready to leave, but then he hears it. The faintest whisper from the far corner of the room. He looks up at the portrait on the wall. The woman is gone. In her place is a new image, one of Claude. His face, twisted in fear, stares back at him. The portrait shifts, unchanging its expression as though it's alive. The voice, the one that had haunted him throughout the house, speaks once more, this time from the depths of the room.
You'll never leave. You'll always be part of us.
You'll never leave. You'll always be part of us. The room begins to shift again, the walls closing in as the floor beneath his feet crumbles. Claude knows what he must do. He runs. He runs through the collapsing house, through the darkness, through the winding halls, determined to escape. Claude's chest burns as he sprints down the hallway, the walls closing in around him. He can feel the mansion's pulse, the heartbeat of something ancient and malevolent. Ahead of him, a door, just one door, stands open. He reaches it, hands trembling as he pushes it open. The world beyond is a blur, but he steps through. He feels the air change. The oppressive weight of the mansion lifts, and the cold finally begins to retreat. But as the door slams shut behind him, the shadows linger. The mansion is still there, waiting, watching, and Claude knows he's not free, not yet. Claude's breath comes in quick, shallow gasps as he stumbles through the door. His legs shake, and his mind reels from the madness he's just encountered. The mansion feels like it's receding behind him, but as he moves forward, he realizes it's not over. The hallway ahead of him stretches longer than it should, far longer than any hallway in the mansion. He takes a step, and the floor groans beneath him. The walls seem to press in, narrowing with every step. The air is thick, like a force is holding him in place. He hears a faint rustling, a whisper that grows louder as he walks. But he can't understand the words. The corridor is endless, and with each step, Claude can feel the weight of the house pulling him back in. As Claude moves forward, his hand brushes against the wall, and for a moment he feels something cold against his skin. A hand. A hand that grabs him, firm and unyielding. He spins around, heart pounding, but there's no one there. The cold remains, seeping into his bones, and the hand seems to tighten around his wrist. Claude jerks away, stumbling backward, but the hand follows him. He can't shake it, the feeling of being held by something unseen. His pulse quickens as he looks down at his wrist. No mark, no bruise. But the cold is still there, lingering, as if something is clutching him from beyond. Ahead he sees a door. Oh, it's different from all the others he's passed. This one seems to glow faintly, a soft blue light emanating from beneath the cracks. He's drawn to it, unable to resist. His steps quicken as he approaches. When he touches the door handle, it feels warm, almost welcoming. He twists the handle, and the door creaks open slowly. But what he finds on the other side is not what he expects. It's a room full of mirrors. But these mirrors are not reflections of the room. They reflect different versions of Claude, each one distorted, twisted in different shapes. Some Claude is smiling, others look terrified, and some are screaming in agony. One mirror stands out, one where Claude's reflection is standing outside the frame, looking directly at him with cold, empty eyes. As Claude steps into the room of mirrors, he feels the shadows return. They slither along the edges of the room, pooling in the corners. The temperature drops even further, and the whispering starts again. Soft at first, then louder, becoming an indistinguishable chorus of voices. The shadows twist, grow, and merge into one large figure. It's the creature from before, the one with the golden eyes, the one that called him. But this time, it's not just a beast. It's something more, something ancient, something that seems to control the house itself. The creature steps forward, its massive form filling the room. The mirrors around them begin to crack, distorting Claude's reflection into a grotesque form. The creature's voice rumbles through the air, deep and guttural.
You cannot escape. You are a part of this now. You are part of me.
You cannot escape. You are a part of this now. You are part of me. Claude's heart races. The creature's words reverberate in his skull. He's trapped. The walls are closing in. The mirrors reflect every twisted version of himself, mocking him, pulling him further into the abyss. His legs move instinctively, and he runs, his footsteps echoing through the endless room. He races toward the door, the one he came through, but as he reaches for the handle, it vanishes. The door is gone. The mirrors shift again, showing new terrifying images, shadows of people who never existed, faces twisted in agony, reaching for him. Claude turns back, searching for another way out, but the room is now a maze, a labyrinth of mirrors and shifting shadows. The creature's growl rumbles behind him. He doesn't have much time. Suddenly, the room falls silent. The mirrors stop shifting. The shadows retract. In the center of the room, the woman from the portrait reappears. Her face is no longer twisted with anger. She stands tall and regal, her expression filled with a sorrow that Claude feels deep in his chest.
You woke him. You brought him back.
You woke him. You brought him back. Her voice is soft, filled with regret. The creature watches her, its golden eyes narrowing as it senses the change. Claude doesn't know whether to run or to stay, but the woman's presence seems to hold some kind of power. She steps forward, her gaze never leaving him.
You must undo this. You must end it, or you will be trapped here, like all the others.
You must undo this, she says. You must end it, or you will be trapped here, like all the others. The woman's words are clear, but they don't make sense. Claude doesn't know how to undo what he's awoken. How can he stop the creature? How can he stop the curse? But the woman gestures toward the center of the room, where a dark symbol appears on the floor, a sigil, in the same one he saw in the book earlier.
This is your only chance. The ritual must be completed, or the mansion will consume you.
This is your only chance, she says, her eyes locked on his. The ritual must be completed, or the mansion will consume you. Claude steps forward, drawn to the symbol. As he does, the creature roars behind him, its hunger palpable. The air crackles with energy, and Claude knows he has no choice. He kneels before the sigil, closing his eyes. He knows the ritual will require something, a sacrifice. The ground shakes beneath him, the mansion's pulse erratic, frantic. Claude places his hand over the sigil, and the moment he does, the creature lunges. But before it can reach him, the woman steps between them. Her hand touches the sigil as well, and the entire room erupts in light. The creature screams. Claude's heart races as the light grows blinding. He hears the woman's voice once more, but this time it's faint, like it's coming from far away.
It's over. You freed us, though not without a price.
It's over. You've freed us, but not without a price. The light explodes outward, filling the room with unbearable warmth. The mansion shakes violently, as though it's alive, dying, crumbling. The walls crack and crumble, and the floor beneath Claude's feet begins to split open. Claude's vision blurs. He can't move. The mansion is collapsing, its foundation crumbling beneath him. The creature's roar fades into the distance, and the woman's presence dissipates. The curse is lifting, but the mansion is falling apart around him. Claude reaches out, but the ground gives way beneath him. The last thing he hears is the sound of the house crumbling, yet the echoes of a mansion that had lived for centuries. When Claude awakens, he's lying on the ground, the cold air filling his lungs. The mansion is gone. The curse is gone. He sits up slowly, unsure of where he is. The ground beneath him is solid, the air clear and fresh. There are no shadows, no whispers. The mansion has vanished. The weight that had pressed down on him is gone. Claude is alone, standing in the ruins of a place that no longer exists. But as he looks around, he knows that what he experienced was real. The house may be gone, but its memories linger in his mind. Memories of things he cannot forget. He looks down at his hand, where the symbol still burns faintly in his skin. And he realizes, with a chill that runs deep, that the shallow ford may be gone, but it will never truly release him.